All right. So Tim Pool reposted a post by Benjamin Ryan, and it says Charlie Kirk was scheduled to debate a progressive influencer, Hassan Piker, at Dartmouth College on September 25th. On his Twitch live stream, Piker reacted to the news with horror, urging some of his followers to stop making jokes about the shooting. Now, these are the guys who routinely call for violence against conservatives. And it's fine to mock conservative values, but they are the ones who stoke the fires among the Democrat and leftist base, talking about how the shooter at Butler, Pennsylvania should not miss next time, and things like that. These are the guys who call people like Charlie Kirk Nazis and racists, trying to dehumanize them so that it's okay to be violent against people like that. Not people like us, because we're on the right side of history, but people that say that it is wrong to do these things to kids. It is wrong to try to, do this politically, and pushing conservative values, like taking sexually graphic books out of kindergarten libraries. Charlie Kirk only wanted to have a conversation. And now he's saying he's terrified. Okay, so he urged his followers to stop making jokes about the shooting. And he expressed fear that he could be similarly targeted. I'm sorry, you see, this is what leftists do. This is what leftists do. They accuse conservatives of the things that they are doing themselves. They accuse conservatives of thinking the things that they are planning. Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't see any conservative out there saying that their followers should start attacking other right-leaning influencers. I don't see that. None of us have the interest in doing that. What we want is a country that abides by the law, that upholds the law. And upholding the law means crazy people who do things like that get arrested and put in jail. It's really as simple as that. We want even, fair conversations around policy, not demonizing people, not doing things and saying things that make the other person appear to be inherently evil simply because they don't believe the same things you do. The sickness that has infested people who have embraced these values is that they take it so seriously that they will do to people like Charlie what this shooter just did. And you know what? Look, all of the influencers that are, putting out tame, shock and horror and sadness, it's not going to impress people at all, because you spent the last 10, 15 years saying the same thing. And now that something real has happened, you want to dial it back and make it look like, oh, so you're also afraid for your life. That's not how it works, Hassan. No one is targeting you. No one is targeting you. No one is interested in targeting you. You're not important. You're not. You're not important. Obviously, people on the left believe that conservative influencers are so important that you have to silence them. You tried censorship. You couldn't do that. President Trump came in and stopped that madness. And then you guys now resort to violence. There were all the swatting attacks that took place earlier. There was the creator, the content creator with Alex Jones, who got murdered earlier in the year. Where do you see this happening to people on the left? Where? Show me, tell me, I'll wait. Put it in the comment section, I'll wait. So Hassan Piker doesn't have to be afraid for his life, because people who believe like we do don't do things like that. That's the problem. They don't get it. They don't get it. We don't think the same way they do. We are not like them. So him saying he's terrified, that something will happen to him, it won't. And you know what? They're going to go on left-wing media saying how afraid they are and how the things that the Trump administration is doing is terrifying them. It's all for show, because this doesn't happen. All the violence comes from one side. It comes from one side. This is a terrifying incident, Piker said. The reverberation of people seeking out vengeance in the aftermath of this violence, this violent, abhorrent incident, is going to be genuinely worrisome. It's not going to happen. It's not. We don't have mentally ill people on the conservative side. We don't. Conservative values usually brings up very even people who just want conversations and who are law-abiding. We believe in law and order and due process, unlike the people that we've seen come from the left. Let's look at the comment section. All right. It's amazing how leftists can take actual violence against the right and immediately make it about imaginary threats to themselves. Just what I was saying. How about focusing on the real problem? Left-wing violence, incitements to violence, and radicalizations of violence. Thank you, Craig. We've been talking about this for years. We've talked about this for years. We've talked about it for years. And sadly, and I'm going to go back to what I've been saying for the last few weeks, conservatives appear to be silent on digital media because we're too busy. We're too busy working. We're too busy taking care of our kids. We're too busy doing other things. We're not speaking up enough to make it known that this is not who we are. Ash Perga says, yet no word of condemnation or shock on here. Instead, he turned this into an opportunity to make political points. How could Hassan be targeted? He's a leftist. All the violence is coming from one side. I said that earlier. Look, I haven't read this. I just hit record and I began to read the post and the comments. I haven't read these comments and they're saying exactly what I just said. If this keeps happening, it won't be long before conservatives, well, this will happen when there is a complete breakdown of law and order. I don't see it happening. What I see is President Trump. Now, MSNBC, TDSBC says President Trump is going to use this as an opportunity to do something. We don't know what he's going to do. Yes, he's going to use this as an opportunity. I believe there's going to be an attempt, and that's what I think. There's going to be an adjustment to the issues around capital punishment. There's going to be a conversation around that. I'm just predicting that. There's going to be an additional doubling down of conservatives against the push from the left towards gun control. No one is going to want to hear it. We're going to start seeing this play out. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but you let me know if I'm wrong. We're also going to start seeing an increased attitude of lack of tolerance. Conservatives will no longer give ground. There's straw man arguments no longer exist. They don't exist anymore. We're going to see that. And then if that doesn't happen, then you can come back to this video or to my future videos and tell me that I was wrong. But we're going to have an increased lack of tolerance. No one's going to listen to the mewling and the squealing of leftists and progressives giving straw man arguments about things that have no chance of happening when it's actually happening to conservatives. No one's going to listen anymore. These are my 3 predictions for this video. It happens on one side, okay? So he's mostly concerned about imaginary backlash, and this is him being a decent human being, I guess. I'll just Charlie Kirk murdered, the liberals most harmed. Yeah, he did the meme. When it happens to the other side, you're the one taking all the medicine for the hurt, but it didn't happen to you. It happened to one of I would say he was arguably the top influencer on the conservative side. And he outworked every conservative because he did more physical events, in-person engagements with students. He outworked everybody in that department. I stand corrected. Let me know if I'm wrong. But this is devastating. It's serious and scary when the threat is real for you. He provokes and endorses this type of violence. Everyone knows that. We've seen him do it again and again. How could his reaction be horror? It's totally predictable and rational. It's totally predictable and rational response to progressive propaganda. I don't understand what that means. I don't. Not one word about hoping the man is okay. Yeah. So this is the reaction coming from Hassan Piker's feigned fear for his life. I don't think there's anything there. I don't. But this incident with Charlie, like I said in my previous video, it changes everything. It changes everything. I'm going to be watching closely all the conversation coming from conservatives over the next few hours and over the next few weeks. The conversation will tell if what I think is actually going to take place. The predictions I've laid out, and some of the things that I think are going to start coming out from the conservative side of the aisle. We have a responsibility to our families and to our communities and to our countries. And Charlie Kirk was trying to build something for his children, and he died for it. Many conservatives are going to start ramping up security. They're going to start thinking very seriously about protecting themselves. Conservative voices who aren't as big or popular, now have a choice to make. The question will always be, is this big enough for me to put my life on the line? Is this big enough for me to risk it all? It's becoming increasingly dangerous in this world to stand up for conservative values. And why is that? It is because the more you stand for conservative values, the closer you get to walking the path that Jesus asks us to walk. How is that connected? Because a true conservative has to try to align his values. Now, the conservatives are the political expression of Christian values. And that's what I'm trying to make you understand. And as Christians, Jesus says we should expect persecution. And many people have even lost their lives because of their faith. In other countries, it's happening. And now politically, we're seeing these attacks going mainstream politically in Europe and in North America. Anyone who stands for conservative values is basically the same as you standing for Christian values in a society where there is massive hostility towards Christians. We've arrived at that point. I spoke to a group of people a few days back, and I asked the question, I think I made a statement. I said, when you stand for godly principles and it costs you and you get persecuted, then we know whether you really believe in those values, because now it comes at a cost. So a lot of conservatives right now are going to have to recalibrate their convictions. They're going to have to decide whether they are really true believers or whether they're just grifters trying to say the right thing in order to get the algorithm going and to get some YouTube money. We're going to start seeing them make these decisions, because now you have to put up or shut up. Are you really a true believer, or are you just someone who saw a niche and you wanted to game the niche and get the benefits of that crowd? We're going to see what that looks like in the next few weeks. So Hassan Piker, in his unhinged reaction to Charlie Kirk's shooting, shows us what the left is really thinking. And it's sad but true that this is how they think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Continue to pray for Charlie's wife and child. Continue to lift them up in prayer. And pray for America. Pray for America. This is the first assassination of a cultural icon since Martin Luther King. I think that is how this feels. That's how this feels. When I read the announcement by Donald Trump, that's how I felt. And how I felt was that we don't have an RFK standing on the back of a pickup truck coming down the black community and giving a moving speech. We don't have that because that doesn't exist anymore on the left. It does not. It does not. It doesn't. Anyone that attempts to do that, just look at J.B. Pritzker. The one opportunity he had to sound like a decent human being, he took it and used it to begin to subtly attack Donald Trump. Someone just got shot, and your go-to was to begin to nudge in that direction, that incident was connected to January 6th, and we know who was responsible for January 6th. Disgusting and sad that this is where they go. Already we see them on MSNBC pushing the gun control conversation and making it sound like Charlie Kirk brought this violence on himself. It's rancid, disgusting, sad, but that is exactly what the left does in situations like this. It is unfortunate, but we have to deal with it. Put your comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.